Are people afraid of you, Beth?
Uh-huh.
Who's afraid of you, Beth?
John.
Your brother. And what is your brother, why is your brother afraid of you?
Because I hurt him so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what, at nighttime, what do your parents do to your door?
Lock it shut.
Why do they lock it shut?
Because they don't want me to hurt John.
Right. And they're kind of afraid of hurting John? Of you hurting John?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are they afraid that you might hurt them?
Yep.
Would you, Beth?
Mm-hmm.
When would you do it?
Nighttime.
Okay. Why would you do nighttime?
Because I don't like them seeing me do it. But they can feel me do it.
Mm-hmm. And what would you do to him, Beth?
Stab him.
Okay. What would you stab him with?
A knife.
The program you are about to see was compiled from the actual therapy tapes of Dr. Ken McGidd, a clinical psychologist specializing in the treatment of severely abused children. Children so traumatized in the first years of life that they do not bond with other people. They are children who cannot love or accept love. Children without conscience who can hurt or even kill without remorse. This film shows the devastating effects of abuse on a child. It also shows that victims can be helped. It is the story of a 6.5-year-old girl named Beth.
Do you ever stick pins in people?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
My brother.
Okay. Do you do it a little bit or a lot?
A lot.
Okay. And what are you trying to do to your brother?
Kill him.
Why do you want your brother to die?
Because I was hurt so bad, and I don't want to be around people.
Okay. Who else would you like to stick pins into?
Mommy and Daddy.
What would you like to have happen to them?
Die.
Jesus couldn't have lived to save Israel, yet he chose to die to save the world.
Tim is the minister of a small Methodist church in the South. He and his wife Julie have been married for 12 years.
Jesus didn't say so.
Unable to have children of their own, they decided to adopt. In February of 1984, they received a call from the Department of Social Services telling them they had 2 children available for adoption. They were told that Beth, 19 months old, and her brother Jonathan, 7 months old, were normal and healthy.
We did not need children to make our lives complete. We felt secure in ourselves and secure in our relationship, but we wanted to share that with somebody else, and we felt like we had a lot to pass on to a child, and that was what we really wanted to do. And when the phone call came, it was like, at last it's here.
And it seemed like a miracle. It had happened so quick. We had heard of couples having to wait 5, 10 years on a child, and here we had 2 young children. It was like the answer to our dream.
Their dream became a nightmare when they realized that Beth and Jonathan had severe emotional problems.
We had the kids with us, Beth and her younger brother John, for probably a couple of months until we began to learn something about their background and their past. And when we learned it, some things seemed to fall in place about her behavior and John's behavior. From several sources, we discovered that that they didn't have enough food to eat. That perhaps even Beth went all day maybe with just a box of Kick cereal. John himself was found in a bassinet with little patches of urine all over it and a dirty diaper and a couple of bottles at his feet that had curdled milk, and the back of his head was completely flat. The front of his head had bulged out, and at 7 months he couldn't raise his head, couldn't roll over. He was just had no stimulation, and we think perhaps that it happened to Beth, and it wasn't very long until she began showing some signs of perhaps even some abuse. There was a nightmare that she had, and the nightmare was about a man who was falling on her and hurting her with a part of himself.
Tell me about your birth father. What was that nightmare like?
When he touched my vaginas
Okay.
until it bled, hurt it a lot until it bled, and wouldn't feed me a lot. He'd hit on me, wouldn't be very nice to me.
How old were you?
1.
And in your nightmare, what happens?
I get real scared.
Where are you in the nightmare? What happens in the dream?
I'm in the house, upstairs.
And then what happens, Beth?
When he comes upstairs and, hurt.
How do you feel when you talk about this?
Scared.
Where's your birth father? What's he doing?
He's right there, and there's his hand. His hand's right there.
Where?
Right there. You can't hardly see it because it's green.
What's it touching?
My vaginas.
And what is your birth father doing?
Hurting it.
Your face looks sad. Can you tell me about that?
It's crying because there's dots of the tears.
Beth had endured severe neglect and abuse as a child. Her birth mother died when she was 1. Because of these early childhood experiences, Beth never developed a sense of conscience, love, or trust for anyone. The early sexual abuse by her birth father would cause her to exhibit inappropriate sexual behavior, especially toward her brother.
Does your brother have private parts?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is his private parts?
Penis and butt.
And what do you do with your brother with his private parts, Beth?
I heard it.
Tell me about it. What do you do?
Well, I pinch it, squeeze it, kick it.
When you do things to your brother's private parts, what does he say?
Stop.
Okay, tell me that.
Well, he says stop, but I don't stop.
Do you hurt him?
A lot.
Okay. And would you like to do that to other boys?
When I caught her with Jonathan one morning, she was molesting him. He was crying and his pants were down, and I said, Beth, what's happening? And she said, I pulled his penis and put my finger up his anus. And I said, didn't he say to stop? And she said, yeah, he did. And I said, did you? And she said, no.
Have you ever rubbed your private parts? Do you do it a lot?
A lot.
How much do you do that?
Not every single day, and that's until I did it every single day until it got real bad and messed up, and I had to go to the doctor, and I did not like it.
What do you mean by real bad?
Well, it looked real raw, got all kinds of boo-boos on it, germs, a lot of stuff from my hand.
And it bled?
She started to masturbate at inappropriate times. I remember one time